All right, let's talk about a huge challenge facing pretty much any company that's all in on the cloud. How in the world do you get consistent, really solid API security when your services are everywhere? Amazon, Google, Microsoft, you name it. We're going to get into the blueprint for solving exactly that. So here's the question, right? The one that really should be keeping architects and security folks up at night. You've got APIs on AWS, sure, some over on Azure, and a few more on GCP. But is the security you have on one just as strong as the security on the others? Or are there some pretty scary gaps in between? Okay, let's set the stage. For the next few minutes, I want you to put on your senior architect hat. You're in charge. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take this messy, fragmented security landscape and forge it into one single, unified defense. So objective number one, we've got to tame the chaos. And this chaos, it comes from a very real place, different teams using different clouds, which leads to this wild patchwork of security policies that's frankly almost impossible to manage. I mean, just think about it for a second. AWS has its API Gateway. Azure has API Management, or APIM. Google's got its GCP API Gateway. Every single one of them has its own dashboard, its own lingo, its own special way of setting up security. And this creates silos. And you know what loves to hide in security silos? Vulnerabilities. So how do we fight back against all this complexity? We do it with a blueprint. And at the heart of that blueprint is one powerful idea, a security baseline. Now, let's be super clear about what this is. A security baseline isn't a suggestion, it's not a nice to have. It is a set of absolutely non-negotiable rules. It's the bare minimum standard of protection that every single API has to meet. And I don't care if it's deployed on AWS or on a server in a closet. This is your line in the sand. And by creating this baseline, you get something amazing, a single source of truth. So when an auditor comes knocking and asks about your API security, you don't have to point them to 3 different confusing cloud consoles. Nope, you point them to one document, one standard, your baseline. Okay, so what actually goes into this baseline? What are the ingredients? Well, it's built on 4 fundamental pillars. You can think of them as 4 core questions we have to answer for every API call that comes through the door. First up is authentication. This pillar answers the simple question, who are you? We're talking about things like OAuth 2.0 or just basic API keys to make sure we know who's talking to us. Next, rate limiting. This one asks, how often can you ask? This is what stops abuse and keeps your services from getting knocked over. Then we have WAF, Web Application Firewall Rules. This pillar is all about asking, is your request safe? It's looking for nasty stuff like SQL injection, the OWASP top 10. And finally, logging. It answers the crucial question, what happened? This gives you that all-important audit trail. All right, that's the theory. Now for the fun part. Let's actually apply this blueprint. How do we take these 4 pillars and turn them into a real, enforceable policy that works across all our different clouds? Your baseline turns those pillars into simple, absolute commands. These aren't just best practices anymore. They become the non-negotiable law of the land for any API that wants to go live in your environment. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is the new standard. And here is where the strategy really comes to life. You take that one set of rules and you implement it everywhere. The key is you're translating the principle, not obsessing over the specific tool. So yeah, you'll configure authentication on GCP's gateway, you'll apply the exact same rate limiting philosophy on Azure, and you'll turn on your core WAF rules over on AWS. The button you click might be different in each cloud, but the security outcome, it's identical. So once you've gone through and applied this blueprint, the results are, well, they're transformational. You get the 2 things that seemed totally impossible at the start: security that is truly unified and management that is so much simpler. And what's the ultimate prize? You no longer have 3 or 4 different security postures to worry about and defend. You have one, a single, strong, unified security posture that covers your entire digital world. Your defenses aren't scattered anymore. They are solid and they are strong. So what does this victory actually look like? Well, it means knowing for a fact that every single API has a solid foundation of protection. It means your security team can manage things from a central philosophy instead of needing to be siloed experts on 3 different platforms. And it means you finally have a single clear standard that everyone in the organization can actually understand and build on. So now the mission is in your hands. You have the blueprint, you know the pillars, and you've got the strategy. The only question left is, where do you start?
Which API is going to be the first one to come under your new unified standard?